Oh, yeah, we got a big show tonight. A lot going on in the world of college football. Appreciate y'all stopping by here at the Voice of College Football. We have posted a video earlier today looking at Alabama's possible next coach. I did not go through some kind of an exhaustive list, but I would still suggest you check out that video. It's a good one, if I do say so myself. We looked at 5 or 6 candidates. One of them has been taken off the list, though. So we did post that at a time before Dan Lanning announced in a very theatrical way that he is going to stay at Oregon. Appreciate y'all being here at the Voice of College Football. Comments and questions in the chat. We will get to them. We appreciate your contributions. Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App. Most effective way to do that. You can also leave a super chat comment or question here. We also just appreciate the support with the like button. Just hit the like button. And folks, tell people we're here talking college football with all of you on a regular basis. So, number of topics I'd like to get to tonight, but keep in mind that my topics don't have to be the topics. Your topics are the topics. So you ultimately produce the show with your calls. We just left the link in the chat. Unfortunately, I forgot, as I typically do, to leave the link in the description section of the video, but the link is in the chat. And again, you can call about anything concerning college football. Anything concerning college football. I am going to let you know that if you ask me about UTEP's linebacking core prospectus for 2024, that might be a bit of a thin conversation. I may not be able to completely run down the stats, the heights and weights, the star rankings, the 40-yard dashes, and be able to give you the scheme concept and how deep the unit is. But anything other than the UTEP linebacking core, we're good on. We got it all covered. Okay, we're going to run down Alabama's potential replacements. We had heard that there was a possibility that that could come down today. But typically there are not news conferences this late in the day. But there are leaks, and there are many times happenings that are substantiated and confirmed on social media. In this day and age, we have many times now in big-time sports found out about coaches' hirings late at night. That has happened. But in regards to the official announcement and the news conference, well, of course, that's going to come at a more business-like time. The Amazon link's in the description section of the video. Same thing runs through my head every time I say that. But the Amazon link's in the description section of all the videos, including this one. And I know that just about everybody's on Amazon. I don't know that you should be on Amazon, but you're already on Amazon. So please use the link that we provide. It doesn't cost you a penny. Nothing. Costs you nothing. It's not like, oh, this goes to Amazon and then tack on 3% for the Voice of College Football. No, you pay the same amount, but Amazon, in all of their grace and consideration, send a portion of that to the Voice of College Football because we are the conduit that has encouraged people to go to Amazon. We know that they need us. They are desperately in search of some marketing connections. So they've reached out to the Voice of College Football to say, we're this outfit called Amazon, and you probably haven't heard of us, but we know that you're the Voice of College Football. We need your help. Please send our name out to the masses. Send our link out to the masses to help us. We need your help. And so out of the goodness of my heart, I said, well, you got a pretty nice website here. You got a lot to offer. It looks like you've got a variety of things here. Things like I can pretty much see some things here that I've never even heard of. So it seems like you've got a pretty good selection of items. And I'll be a good guy. I'll partner with you. And it just kind of sounds like a cool name, Amazon. So yes, it sounds good. Seems like a good fit. Let's partner together. And so Amazon is kind of chosen to partner with the Voice of College Football. So we have provided the Amazon link for you. We have provided the Amazon link for you. It doesn't cost you an extra penny, and it's the same shopping experience. How about that? All right. This is on the docket. We're going to talk about Alabama's next head coach. I hope with about 20 names written down here that we've covered him, that we're going to get to him at some point. I don't know who it's going to be. And then we will also talk about whether Nick Saban is the GOAT. I know it seems rather obvious, and I'm going to produce a video on this. This I'm going to tackle with a video, and somebody better watch it. I don't think it's so obvious. National championships, yes. And I think that every person who wants to call Nick Saban the GOAT has every right to. It is certainly justified. I'm not saying it's not justified. I'm just saying it's not confirmed. It's not as obvious as you may think it is. Because we live in a gold medal mindset society in this country, especially in this world, but in this society. And national championships are everything, and he's got the most. So if you got the most national championships, you must be the best, right? You're the most successful. He doesn't have the best win-loss record. Now, to me, we should start there. But there are so many factors involved. We'll get to that in just a second. But again, I don't know that we're going to cover that extensively tonight. I would love to hear if you do not believe that Nick Saban is the GOAT, who do you believe is the GOAT? I would love to see those answers and those responses in the chat. Or let's just say you think somebody else should be at least considered. Not that Saban's not the GOAT, but is there somebody else that we should really look at? Keep this in mind. I saw a post today where Joe Paterno, I think it was in response to a post that I made. I don't know. It was on Twitter somewhere. Somebody brought up Joe Paterno and then said something about he's done this, he's done this, he's done this. This is amazing. That's amazing. His bowl record, his winning percentage, his longevity, all of it. And then they noted, well, he's only won 2 national championships. When I go to my grave, I hope and I believe that I will have fought for much greater causes. I know that I will. I know that I already have, and I certainly will spend, I should be around for another 40 or 50 years fighting for much more just causes and more important causes. But the whole national championship, especially in college football. Now, if we're talking Super Bowls, different deal. That's on an even playing surface. If you're the head coach of the Los Angeles Rams or the Kansas City Chiefs or the Cincinnati Bengals or the New York Giants, obviously they all have advantages and disadvantages at the point that they are hired, where their team, their roster, their personnel could be in a great place or a not so good place, but they're all in the NFL with the same resources. They almost have exactly the same resources. They have a salary cap. No excuse. You all start from the same place. But to talk about Bill Snyder at Kansas State, folks, I got to tell you, when he retired, not that I didn't know this stuff because I didn't really even need to research it, but just wanted to make sure. Am I looking at the right stuff? Let's go back. It's astonishing what he did with that program. It is incredible. I cannot in any way overstate what Bill Snyder did at Kansas State. They didn't suck. What's below suck? I don't know. Can you give me what is below sucking? Kansas State was just utter dirt. They were dirt. That's going to be my new phrase. Dirt. I can't go lower than dirt. Dirt takes us from the very, we stomp on dirt to the center of the earth. Dirt. I know that that's not, yeah. Dirt. Yes. They were going like 0-11, 2-9, 1-10, 1-10, 2-9, 0-11 before Bill Snyder showed up. And then within 2 or 3 years, it took them some time. Boom. They're a perennial top 10 team. Incredible. Nobody's going to say that Bill Snyder's the greatest of all time. Almost nobody outside of Manhattan, Kansas, wherever that is. Like 1,400 people. Joe Paterno. I didn't finish my rant on Joe Paterno. And this is not my official GOAT speech. That will come via video. I'm going to run down the candidates. Maybe I'll even rank the coaches all time. We love to rank things here at the Voice of College Football. Maybe we'll rank the coaches all time. And maybe I'll cause a stir and I'll rank Saban 7th. I'll rank him wherever I believe he should be ranked. It's probably not going to be 7th. But I will not do that for clickbait. I don't do anything for clickbait purposes. Need some starch in the collar. Joe Paterno won. You know what? Let me restate that. He was awarded 2 national championships. That's what they were back then. They were awarded national championships. They didn't win a national championship. They were awarded a national championship. He was awarded 2 national championships. What's kind of funny is that one of the 2 national championships, they lost a game and they lost it by 3 touchdowns. And he was undefeated 5 times, 5 other times in which he did not win a national championship. Let's do the math. 1, 2 national championships, undefeated 5 other times. Could he have 7 national championships? I guess he could. Bobby Bowden finished in the top 4 in all of college football, 14 consecutive seasons. I believe we've got a 14 playoff, and we've been doing that for the last 10 years. 14 playoff. And now that's a final ranking, number top 4 for 14 consecutive years. So we would have to go through each year and see where Florida State was placed before. And it's an impossible conversion to make because conferences have changed and conference championship games and all of that. But basically, he would have reached the college football playoff almost all of those 14 consecutive years. And he's got 3 national championships, and even one of those I dispute. And it's rather easy to dispute it because they got beat by another team that's got the same record. The freaking stupidity and complete, can I make up a word? The dumbness of these people that have awarded national championships through the years. It's just unbelievable. 1993. Notre Dame's got 1 loss. Florida State's got 1 loss. Notre Dame played a great schedule. Florida State played, we're not talking about Tulane. Notre Dame, 1 loss. For all you Notre Dame folks out there that think I hate Notre Dame, I don't. I don't care about Notre Dame. That's much different than hating Notre Dame. I don't care about Notre Dame. I have pounded the table in favor of Notre Dame adding a 1993 national championship. If I was at Notre Dame, if I was the athletic director, I would say, we're hanging a banner in the stadium. Why are we not the national champion? Or at least a share of the national championship? So Bobby Bowden's got 3 national championships, right? 93, 99. No, he's got 2. 93, 99. but he could have won other ones had there been a different system. And all sorts of people. Yeah, we could go on and on. Woody Hayes. We can argue Woody Hayes. Shoot, we can argue Jim Harbaugh. If we want to bring the NFL angle into it, we just saw Pete Carroll hang him up. Look at the run that he had at USC. Now, I'm not arguing Pete Carroll as the GOAT in college football, but once you make that combination, college football, NFL, Pete Carroll, Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer are the three obvious ones because they won Super Bowls and national championships. And Jim Harbaugh would be the only guy that I can think of, both at the NFL level and the college football level, that were highly successful in both. Anybody else? Bill Walsh, but not highly successful in college. Dennis Erickson, to a certain extent, he had some nice teams at Seattle, but again, he went to the playoffs. Jim Mora went to the playoffs in the NFL and had a okay run. We're really lowering the bar now to good coaches. All right. So anyway, we can talk about the GOAT, and I'm curious to see if anybody has nominated anyone for GOAT status, or again, just to say that this person should be talked about. Oh, we got the Bear. Yes, Bear Bryant, of course. All right. Transfer portal update. We'll look at that. And then I would also, I was curious to see that the AP rankings came out, of course, right after the national championship game. And for as much as we don't acknowledge the AP rankings around here, I was curious to look at the AP rankings final and then look at the original AP rankings, because last year we had, of course, a top 25, and the final top 25 only contained 12 of the original preseason top 25 teams. So they only hit on 12 of 25. I'm sure they did much better this year. I think they generally are probably more in that 17 to 18 range. The Amazon link's in the description section of all the videos. I don't know what Ed's going for here. Either his math is off or he's proving a point. And I believe, seeing Ed's comments on a regular basis, he is proving a point here. Ed says Jim Harbaugh is 2-5 against Ohio State. Mike Ford says Jimmy Johnson is in the conversation. He took over a terrible Dallas team. That he did. That he did. Moose says that the portal is about to go ape shit with Bama transfers. I hope Michigan can grab some talent. Yeah, it's open for 30 days after the retirement last night of Mr. Saban. Again, I know that Barry Switzer is going to be in the back of the line of these three that have won a Super Bowl championship and a college football national championship, but Barry Switzer at Oklahoma, if he did nothing else, he recruited. He may have not done anything else to position himself for any kind of GOAT status, but man, look at his record at Oklahoma. It is ridiculous. Greatest of all time. How about Bud Wilkinson? Look at Bud Wilkinson's record. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. And Mike will say that was Jimmy Johnson's Super Bowl he won. I don't agree with that. I get your point. He had the same team, but okay, George Seifert won Bill Walsh's Super Bowl. We could come up with all sorts of examples of coaches who took over good situations and won a Super Bowl. Thank you, Wade. Tom Osborne. Whoop. You guys post these comments too quickly. Tom Osborne. Phenomenal. And he had done most of his work and had completed 80% of his career, and he had 0 national championships. He started at Nebraska, I believe his first year was 73. And in 1994, he had 0 national championships. He could have had one had he kicked the extra point in 1983 against Miami. And this is kind of a strange scenario, statistic, fact that Osborne wins 3 of the last 4 national championships in which he coached, and then he headed off into the sunset. But yeah, Tom Osborne, wow, what a class act. What a class act. And what a phenomenal coach. But he had his issues, speaking of Barry Switzer and Oklahoma, for a long, long time. Oh, the Rod Farva is responding to somebody here. Paul Brown not deserving. You serious? Paul Brown? Well, on the college football front, he, of course, had a very short career. But he won a national championship. Now, again, a national championship in 1942 just means you probably went undefeated or lost one game and then didn't play after November. I don't even know if that 1942 team, did they win the Rose Bowl? I don't even think they played in the Rose Bowl. Anyway, not his fault, but an undefeated Ohio State team. I believe they were undefeated. They might have lost a game. We'll have to look that up. But in the NFL, now, if we transition this completely to the NFL, which I could do, but I'm going to lose most of you because you tell me you don't care about the NFL. I could, yeah. Then we start talking Paul Brown, Tom Landry, the dude that just retired today. I think he would come up, right? And that's a very timely conversation here we're having with Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Nick Saban retiring like that. It's another one of those trifectas that happen. A lot of people think that happens with deaths. I'm not convinced of that, but now we see it with 3 of the all-time greats. Just wow, at the top of the game, top of the sport. And there's a connection certainly between Saban and Belichick. Somebody had me on their podcast today, and I apologize because I can't really tell you who that is or where to find the podcast. But I think they tagged me on Twitter, but they had made a great suggestion that Bill Belichick and Nick Saban should do a podcast now together. And I think that would be, I don't listen to anybody's podcasts just because I don't really care to. But I know that there are some really good ones out there. And actually, that was going to be one of my goals this off season, was to start an audio podcast, but too much going on. But man, that is something that we should embark on here at the Voice of College Football, is to start an audio podcast that is completely different, that has we'd have to find some kind of angle, some kind of niche. I'm just not going to go on there and reproduce what we do here every day. Would have to have a certain angle. But I thought that the Belichick Saban podcast idea was a good one, because we got to see a little bit of that when Belichick was the guest analyst on the NFL's greatest 100 players of all time. When the NFL, the NFL started in 1919. Yes, when the NFL was 100 years old, they had their 100 greatest players named. And man, I couldn't get enough of watching these segments, these hour shows, whatever they were, where they would go through all the running backs, all the offensive linemen, whoever. And Belichick. They had Belichick on every show, and then they would bring on a couple offensive linemen if it was the offensive line show, quarterbacks if it was the quarterback show. And Belichick, though, was on every show with Rich Eisen. And it was just great TV to hear Belichick because he's annoyed when he's at a news conference being asked about his team because he just wants to coach and he doesn't want to be asked about his team because he doesn't want to convey anything. He doesn't want to let out any secrets. He doesn't want to tell anything. He doesn't want to talk about injuries. He doesn't want to compromise winning at all. But if you just get him talking about football, where he has no attachment to it, no stake in the game, then that was just phenomenal. And to get he and Saban together to tell stories. There's a clip that I saw on Twitter that I had not seen for years and years and years. And this was at the point that Belichick and Saban had brought the Cleveland Browns up to contention status. And I believe they were playing in Dallas. And this would have been 1994. Yes. And the Browns made the playoffs that year. They beat the Patriots and Bill Parcells in the wild card game. And who knows what Belichick would have accomplished in Cleveland had Art Modell had half a brain and didn't lose control of the franchise and the lease at the stadium and lost all sorts of money. How you lose money in the NFL, that's tough to do. But anyway, he lost control of the franchise and Belichick, of course, was gone because the team was gone. But there is a great sequence where they held the Cowboys out of the end zone at the end of the game, and they won some close, low-scoring game, 14-10, something in that range, 19-14. And it's Belichick and Saban going nuts on the sideline, hugging each other and being so happy that they were facing the triplets and the Cowboys, and they got a big victory. It's a fun clip. There is, folks, I may on YouTube, if I think of it tonight, look for this. I saw this on the NFL Network probably 10 years ago. The footage they have is just unbelievable. There is a documentary that they have on the NFL Network where they are following the 1995, yes, Cleveland Browns. That's what it is. And what is so captivating about it is this couldn't have been planned. If it was planned, then I know that there is a conspiracy, knowing that the Browns were going to move and that they would have brought in all the cameras to document all this before it actually happened. But maybe. But they have two storylines running at the same time. One is the demise of the Browns and the backdoor, back room workings and business deals and everything that's going on from the management and administrative level that's leading to the executive level, leading to the Browns leaving Cleveland. And at the same time, they are following a legendary coaching staff. Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, Kirk Ferentz, and now I've put myself on the hook to try to remember the rest of these guys. Jim Caldwell? Who else is on that staff? Help me out, Browns fans. There's about 5 or 6 recognizable names on that staff from 1995. But it starts with Belichick as the head coach, Saban is the defensive coordinator, Jim Caldwell on that staff. And I'd have to, again, if I looked it up, I'd be like, duh, Mark. Yeah. And it is a phenomenal TV because they've got cameras in all these coaches' meetings talking about players, talking about opposing players and schemes. It's unbelievable. It's great. Yeah, I got to look that up. That's all there is to it. And then we will keep our conversation going. If We will drop the link there in the chat if you want to call me. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue to ramble. But I want to look at this Browns coaching staff from 1995. And this, of course, relates to college football. It's all together in this way. We're still going to look at the transfer portal and do an update from the transfer portal and also the AP rankings and see how close the postseason was to the preseason. All right. 1995 Cleveland Browns coaching staff. Maybe this isn't as impressive as I thought it was. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, where are we? Offensive line coach, Kirk Ferentz. Defensive coordinator, Rick Venturi. Secondary coach, Jim Bates. Was this was Saban's first year? This was Saban's, I got to go back to 94, I guess. 1995, I believe, was Saban's first year at Michigan State. So, yeah, I believe we got to go back a year to 94, although that doesn't play along with their last season in Cleveland. There we go. We've got Rod Dowhauer, Kirk Ferentz, Nick Saban, Woody Woodenhofer, Rick Venturi, and, of course, Bill Belichick. I thought that one of the old Lions coaches was on this staff. Anyway, enough of that. Appreciate you all being here at the Voice of College Football. And the link's in the chat if you'd like to join us. Also, coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, we've got the All-In Show on the Clemson channel. So check that out if you want to head on over there. Yes, Lauren Hamilton, Ozzie Newsome was in on that as he was the general manager. But we got the All Clemson Show coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We've got at 8 o'clock the Big 12 Fan Zone with Joey Foster hosting over on the Big 12 channel. Coming up, now, if nobody wants to watch some of these series, then sometimes I get asked, Mark, why didn't you finish that series? And my answer is nobody's watching, so it doesn't make any business sense for me to produce videos because there's plenty of videos that I could produce that people will watch. So I'm not going to continue to produce videos that people won't watch. So I don't always know what that is. I know what I want to work on, but that doesn't seem to line up with what you guys want to watch. You guys love the gossip. So I have to find that fine line between continuing to meet some level of some level standard just above scum, that we try to reach that level and maintain that level without going too deep into that crap. But so I have yet to master the YouTube algorithm of finding the best topics each day. But the stuff that I like to work on, like we went through the ACC rankings. So check out the video because nobody else is. Check out the video on the ACC performance against the Power Five and everybody else this past season. And my intent is to look at the ACC and the rest of the conferences and then compare them. And we do this every off season because in the past it's been worth it. I think we'll do one more conference. And if you guys show that you don't want to see that, then I'm not going to finish that. All right. But I like to do the conference rankings. But again, business is business. Our 1 through 133 rankings, those have done well in the past, and we released our top 25 that actually makes sense. And you know what happened again this time? It actually made sense. So we got our top 25 that actually makes sense. If you missed that, check it out. So you will have a step on, you will be a step ahead on the 1 through 133 that actually makes sense. So we will get to that as well. We're going to do our, oh, I forgot about our coaches rankings. We have done coaches rankings in the past. People like that will do coaches rankings. So we got our 2023 rankings coming up, team rankings, coaches rankings. And again, with Nick Saban hanging them up, we could possibly do a all-time GOAT ranking. Also, kind of like this one. Now that we've played 10 seasons of the college football playoff with 4 teams, and that's it, doing a ranking of the greatest, well, we'll just rank them 1 through 10. It's a nice little 1 through 10, top 10 ranking of the college football playoff champions. So who do you think, if you're in the chat right now, who do you think is the greatest college football playoff champion of the last 10 years during the playoff era? I would guess that if we had a balanced fan base here, which we don't, which we hope to achieve at some point, that LSU would win from 2019. I think they would. And the 2020 Alabama Crimson Tide would get a ton of votes, and they would get the most. Yeah. 2018 Clemson, they would get a lot of votes as well. We got an SEC channel, a Big 12 channel as well. Those channel links are in the description section as well. So please support us on the Big 12 channel. Again, we've got our Big 12 fan zone tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time with the one and only Joey Foster. Big 12 channel, SEC channel. All right, let's get to the transfer portal, and let's see if anybody has who they believe are the best teams of the last 10 years. So we've got votes for 2020 Bama, 24 Michigan. Actually, that would be 23 Michigan. Michigan versus the world. That's the 2023 Michigan team. That's not 24. But sorry, I'm going to be a taskmaster. Georgia who? Georgia 21, Georgia 22. Okay, K-Dog says Georgia 22. Bama, I don't know what that means. Bama 15, Bama 16, or Bama 17, Bama 20. We got another Bama. Again, Bama who? Which one? Okay. So, all right. Thank you, Mountaineer. Scott, 2020 Bama. Thank you for the correction there. Biggs Mike's going in with 2023 Michigan. Again, this just proves my point that I make all the time. Which is fine. You're fans. So the Michigan fans are going to say Michigan. The Bama fans are going to say Bama. That's the way it's going to be. All right, let's get to the transfer portal today and see what's going on there. In the transfer portal. Oh, there we go. We've got one from the Tide going to Florida State. Alabama offensive lineman Terrence Ferguson. I believe he had already entered the transfer portal before the Saban news, commits to Florida State. Good pickup for FSU. Obviously, if he played, didn't just sign at Alabama, he played at Alabama. He goes to Florida State. Former Florida cornerback Jalen Kimber is committed to Penn State. I believe we knew that in talking to our buddy David Waters at Gators Breakdown. He made a comment about that a few weeks ago. So Jalen Kimber to Penn State. Originally committed to Louisville in the portal, but will now suit up for the Nittany Lions. Starting experience for 2 years. All Pack pride at reporting that North Carolina State defensive back Aiden White, he's a really good player, decided to withdraw his name from the portal, and he's returning to Raleigh to play for Dave Doran. We have also Penn State Nab's former 5-star recruit, Georgia cornerback A.J. Harris. That was expected. Bama's lost 17 players to the portal. Now they've got, as we just mentioned, another 30 days. Yeah, this is the one I've been waiting for here, is Texas A&M wide receiver Evan Stewart. And then you also have Liberty quarterback Caden Salter. Is he the last decent quarterback out there? Thought there was somebody else that still had not decided. We'll have to look at the quarterback transfer portal situation. I thought that there might be one other quarterback still out there that could start somewhere. Are these quarterbacks? 2024. Eli Holstein, the Alabama signee, been there for a couple of years. He went to Pitt. Caden Salter, yes, still at Liberty. We talked about Jaden Maeva, the UNLV quarterback who started as a freshman and had a really nice season for the Runnin' Rebs. He went to USC, so he's going to battle it out with Miller Moss. But I really, Jaden DeLora is still out there. Arizona starting quarterback Jaden DeLora, who, with Noah Fafita playing as well as he did, and said, see you, Jaden. Played so well, leading Arizona to a fringe top 10 finish unexpectedly. What a job Jed Fish has done. Jaden DeLora is still available. Chubba Purdy of Nebraska is still available. Casey Thompson, former Texas starter, former Nebraska starter, he's still out there. Chandler Morris of TCU, who was one-time starter at TCU, one-time signee at Oklahoma, he is still in the portal and has yet to sign. We really didn't talk about it here, but Malachi Nelson, the 5-star quarterback, who you would have thought with USC not getting Will Howard, might have stuck around at USC, but he definitely wants to play. Went to Boise State. Who wants Jeff Sims? Somebody, please. Help a brother there. Jeff Sims still out there in the transfer portal. He may be waiting a while. He may want to show them his 2022 tape, not his 23 tape. And then we also have, this was a big one. Michigan wide receiver Darius Clemens, stud, has entered the transfer portal. 4-star in the 22 class. Connecticut wide receiver Cameron Ross had a nice little season last year. 44 catches, 552 in yardage, 2 touchdowns, and he's in the portal. Corey Foreman, who is a huge, look at that recruiting ranking from 2021, number 2 overall prospect, number 2 overall. Didn't work out at USC. Now he's going to Fresno State. Yes, not all the 5 stars work out. This guy's a really good player. Arkansas running back transfer AJ Green going to Oklahoma State. Of course, Oklahoma State lost the nation's leading rusher in Ollie Gordon. Jake Garcia was the highest ranked quarterback for a long time in the Miami quarterback room. And he got his shot when Tyler Van Dyke went down in 2022 and did not perform at all. So then he transferred to Missouri, and Missouri took off, but Jake Garcia did not. He had nothing to do with it. And now he's going to East Carolina. So the trajectory for Jake Garcia has gone from possible Miami starting quarterback as a high 4-star, top 50 overall recruit, as you see there in the class of 2021, to Mizzou, now to East Carolina, who's coming off a 2-10 season. So if Jake Garcia cannot start for the ECU Pirates, we talked about this on our Florida State show on Wednesday night. Everybody check out our Florida State show. It's one of the best around. Got big game James Coleman, who played at Florida State 2002 to 05. You got Chris Frazier from Spear Addicts and our guy George from Renegade Report. So we've got a stacked lineup of analysts every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Eastern time, Florida State Live. And we broke this one down. Tamiwa Durajaye chose Florida State over Miami and Auburn. They also picked up a nice edge rusher from Oregon State. Former Oregon State wide receiver Silas Bolden is one of the hottest recruits in the transfer portal, and he has made 4 official visits: Texas, Arizona, Washington, and USC. What do all those schools have in common? Texas, SEC, Arizona, Big 12, Washington, Big 10, USC, Big 10. They're all on the move. UTEP wide receiver Tyron Smith had a big season, 1,000 yards in 2022. Then went to Texas A&M. I don't know what he did there last season. Probably not much, because I don't really recall him doing a heck of a whole lot there at Texas A&M. But he now might be going to Cincinnati. No, he was still at UTEP last season, apparently, Tyron Smith. So I don't know if he got hurt. He must have 71 catches the year before with 1,000 yards, and then he declined to 19 catches and just 1 touchdown. So he could be going to Cincinnati. Oh, so he showed up at Texas A&M, and now he's just jumping back in the transfer portal. Apparently, he just played for UTEP and a brief time in Texas A&M. Yes, a brief time. A brief time meaning a cup of coffee, a meaning like he still doesn't even know where, I don't know, the student center is. Anyway. Tackett Curtis. USC fans were excited when he signed with USC. Well, he's committed to Wisconsin. True freshman starter for USC. Why he's leaving, I don't know. Probably NIL. Probably. Got a Penn State offensive lineman in the portal, Cincinnati linebacker in the portal, Georgia Tech offensive tackle, Jakaya Leftwich. Oh, yeah. We didn't talk a ton about this here on the main channel, but check out Buckeyes Live from this Wednesday. We covered the Quinshon Judkins move from Ole Miss to Ohio State. A lot of interesting stories about Mr. Judkins off the field. So hopefully he can stay clean, upright, obedient, on the rails at Ohio State this season. And we will see if Travion Henderson announces for the NFL draft. This is January 9th. We have until, is it January 9th? No, this is January 11th. NFL draft selections have to be made by January 15th. So Marvin Harrison Jr., to no one's surprise, has opted for the NFL draft. So he made that official, I believe, today. We've gone through a number of USC players in the transfer portal, and I see that our buddy Tim Prankley's in the chat. So I hope I didn't slip up on anything and say anything wrong. Oh, it's good to have a Wisconsin guy here. Badger Bournemouth fan. Appreciate you being here, letting us know that Tackett Curtis almost chose Wisconsin out of high school. He loves Madison. Loves it. You know what that reminds me of? I've got a buddy who took his family out west this past summer, and they went through Madison, Wisconsin. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Moose is telling us that Ohio State dropped the bags for Judkins. Yeah. Everybody's dropping bags. That's also kind of not even a thing anymore. Quinshon Judkins is crazy good. He's really good. Now, his stats dropped this year, but he was nicked up. He was injured. I don't exactly remember what he did, but I do remember the first time I saw Quinshon Judkins, say that 4 times fast, Quinshon Judkins, the first time I saw him, he was not a big recruit, so he was not on my radar. And I think it was a game against Kentucky early in the 22 season. I was like, wow, look at this dude. He's phenomenal. People have asked me, is he a speed guy or a power guy? Yeah, he is. And then the Buckeyes grabbed him. So it's been a good week for Ohio State football. I'm somewhat chuckling inside saying that because obviously it's not been a good week for Ohio State football if you're looking at what's going on the field with their biggest rival. But hey, they can't do anything about that now. They had that shot on the last day of November, the last Saturday of November. But good Lord, they picked up the number 1 cornerback in the nation. What the heck is his name? Devin Sanchez. So they get the number 1 cornerback in the nation. And it's not like the number 1 cornerback in the nation last year, or arguably the number 1 cornerback in the nation last year that they got, who was right there in Ohio. They got the number 1 cornerback in the nation who's in Houston, and they get him out of Texas A&M, LSU, everybody else. And Ohio State got him. And apparently this is not, and of course we're talking 2025. So these commitments have to last for 10 or 11 months. So we know how that goes. And especially if we're talking about somebody in the South committing to a school in the north outside of their territory. So that is a tenuous commitment, of course. We've seen it many times. But, oh, man. So they get the best cornerback in the country, and they are apparently going to get the number 4 cornerback in the country. He's out of Houston as well. And they also, the Buckeyes yesterday picked up an edge rusher who's one of the best in the country. He's a top 75 player. Zahir something. I'll get it here in a minute. I am not a recruiting guy. Will never be a recruiting guy. I would actually like to be less of a recruiting guy than I am now. But it's important. Redken, they are not sponsoring me. What are they doing on my screen? I think they owe me at least $25. Now I think it's up to $35. I think, yeah, $50, Redken. You owe me $75. Okay, so Ohio State, the 2025 class. Can you believe it's 2025? Goodness gracious. So obviously the rankings mean nothing at this point. There's Devin Sanchez. So the 4th rated player in the country, the number 1 rated player in the state of Texas, not the number 1 cornerback in Texas, the number 1 player in Texas. Good golly. Devin Sanchez. And then Tavian St. Clair. No, not him. He's been in the class. Zahir Mathis. That's who I was thinking of. Out of Philadelphia, the edge rusher. Top 10 edge rusher. Number 1 rated player in the state of Pennsylvania, James Franklin. Where did he go? So the Buckeyes off to a good start there in recruiting, and they reeled in a great class. I am saying all this just to kind of irk some Michigan fans. I'm just doing it because I know that they're reveling in their national championship, and they should be. But the Buckeyes did have a good week to 10 days with all these commits, and with Quinshon Judkins and Will Howard out of the transfer portal. I know that I guarantee that Will Howard's going to be, he should be an upgrade over Kyle McCord for 2 basic reasons. 2 basic reasons. We know he's mobile. So Ryan Day, let him run. That doesn't mean he should be running recklessly, but let him run. Let him be the player that he is. That's why he's as good as he is. He's not Drew Bledsoe. He is not a great passer. Like, really, he's a really good passer, because believe me, with the quarterbacks that they've had at Kansas State, as soon as I saw him on the field for Kansas State 2 years ago, in relief of, before it was Skylar Thompson, then it was Adrian Martinez, the upgrade was through the roof when Will Howard got out there. But I'm not going to, again, let's not confuse him with Michael Penix or Bryce Young or CJ Stroud throwing the football downfield. He's not that. And after 2.5 to 3 years of starting experience, I don't think he's going to be that, but he can run. And he's not a runner. That's not his forte. That's not the first thing that he needs to be looking to do, but he needs to complement his game as a runner, especially against the better teams. He needs to provide that threat. Look at J.J. McCarthy at Michigan. Look at what J.J. McCarthy did in the key games. Did he run it 15 times? No. He didn't run it 15 times. He didn't run it 10 times. He didn't run it 7 times. Against Penn State, against Ohio State, against Alabama. I don't remember against Washington. They didn't need him against Washington. They were freaking slamming the ball down their throats with their running backs. But against those 3 other teams, he had 2 or 3 key runs. And they had that nifty little play where they pull the guards and they lead him, and it's like a wing T. It's basically a wing T formation, and it's a wing T concept. Pulling the guards in front of him, and he runs a sweep. And he gets 7 yards like it's nothing, and it's usually more like 12 or 15 yards. So Will Howard needs to be utilized as a runner just to keep the defense honest and gain key first downs. And then Judkins is a tremendous. If they can keep Travion Henderson and match him up with Judkins, they're going to have their best running back tandem since probably Beanie Wells and Antonio Pittman, 2006, 7. Or they may have only played together for 1 year because Pittman was there in 05. Beanie was not. Pittman was the guy in 05. Then Beanie showed up, and they both were devastating in 06. And then in 07, Beanie was still there. Pittman was not. So they played 1 season together. But it's usually one back at Ohio State that is the guy, and then there's a significant drop-off. There's some really good backs, but there's like one stud. Carlos Hyde, Zeke Elliott, J.K. Dobbins. There's one guy, but they could have 2 guys. And there's a 12-team playoff, meaning there are a lot of games to be played by these teams. And I don't know how this is going to work out. I find it hard to believe that there's going to be a 12-team playoff this year and nothing has been done to address the regular season schedule. Somebody out there could play 17 football games this year. Michigan and Washington just played 15. And I will get, that reminds me that our Voice of College Football Bowl Challenge is wrapped up, of course, unless there's one other bowl game out there going to be played. No, the Bowl Challenge is over. So we've got 3 winners. First place, $100 in Voice of College Football gear. Second place is $75 and third place is $25. I believe that's what we did. And we've got promo codes for you. So if you finished in the top 3, and I have heard from one of the top 3, if you finished in the top 3, hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, and we will get you your promo code to get some gear. Something prompted that. I shouldn't have went down that trail. 15 games. Yes. Playing 15 games. 17 possibly this year. Who can name the only team in college football? The only team in college football this year, outside of the 2 teams that played in the national championship game, who is the only team in college football that played 15 games? Now, you can all scurry. I would love for everyone to be honest and just see if you can figure it out. But you, of course, can just click on the standings in college football. Liberty, no. Good guess, though. They went 13-1. Somebody's got some guys are in the right spot there. Scuba's there with Hawaii. What's funny about Hawaii is that they have a number of times played 15 games. They had a 5-10 season. They had a 10-5 season. Anybody. Bingo, the Rod Farva got it. Hopefully he got it honestly. The Rod Farva, you've been around for a long time. You can be honest with us. Did you get it? Did your brain know that, or did you look it up? But yes, honestly, good job to Rod Farva. And New Mexico State's record was, since you know that they played 15 games, I'm guessing that you know what their record was. Trivia junkie. They were 10-5. New Mexico State. Yes. Thank you, Mike. All right. Look who's stopping by. It's the illustrious host of the Big 12 Fan Zone and the West Virginia Fan Zone and the West Virginia Mountaineers live show. I think this guy hosts more shows than I do. But we got Joey Foster stopping by. And Joey is probably a little mad at me right now because I wasn't too keen on his Mike Locksley proposal for the Alabama coaching job.
No, I'm not too keen on it either. I was talking to someone yesterday down in Alabama who has a YouTube channel and does a show and everything covering Alabama football. And he mentioned that to me. And
I thought I was the only one doing college football shows on YouTube.
I said, I'd never heard that name, mentioned for the Alabama job. But hey, he's done a pretty decent job at Maryland. So, I don't guess it'd be completely out of the question if they wanted to think outside the box. But
he has.
But I just wanted to come on real quick. And I know you've been saying it the whole show, inviting people over to the Big 12 channel at 8:00. We're going to have a show on the Big 12, covering the Big 12. If you're a Big 12 fan or just like to hang out with us, we'd love to have you over there. We'll drop a link and let you come in and talk to us and ask you questions. And also, right now, Clemson football at the Voice of College Football, Tiger Paul Craven and Jordan Bowman are doing their show over there. So if you think that Dabo could be a good candidate for Alabama and you want to go in there and tell them you're still under coaches, might troll them a little bit. But so they're live right now.
Joey, I will tell you that I will steer everyone over there at 8:00. I intend on not being here past 7:59. So that's my intent. People will really have to be, I don't know, throwing super chats at me or something to keep me on here. But we will wrap it up in 2 hours and get everyone over to the Big 12 channel. People need to... Yeah. This is the time to lock in on the Big 12 and get prepped for the next season. Arizona, Utah. Look at Arizona, what they did this last year.
The Big 12 may not be the overall best conference as you might want to look at it. Sure, SEC and Big 10 are going to be top heavy and have teams that are a lot better than teams in the Big 12. But the Big 12 is probably overall the best conference top to bottom with competition. So,
yes.
The 4 newcomers that came in this year, I think they're still another year or two off from competing really good in the Big 12. But, they are good programs in Cincinnati, BYU, UCF, and Houston. But the programs coming in from the Pac-12, the 4 corner schools, man, it should be a wide open race in the Big 12 this year. You have a lot of teams coming out that were pretty good in the Big 12 this year and are returning most of their players next year. So, you can make a case for 7 teams in the Big 12 next year. Real easy. You could find 7 teams to make a case as to why they'll win the Big 12 next year. So I'm looking forward to a really good year next year.
Yeah. So again, tonight, the All In Clemson Tigers show is going on right now. If you want to check in with them, 7:00 Eastern time that's every Thursday, folks. So even if I'm not here, that they're going to be there at 7:00 Eastern on Thursday. And Joey's going to be with Shane doing the Big 12 Fan Zone at 8:00 every Thursday.
Right. And we do that on the West Virginia channel and the Big 12 channel. So love to have you guys come over and join us. But all right, Mark, that's all I wanted to say. Come in here for a second and things. I've never seen your back room empty. You always have callers, and no one's calling in tonight.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
And got about 100 people watching. We were up around 150 or so, but nobody's wanted to call. So that's fine. I've been rambling for an hour and 12 minutes.
And Tim is asking me, Joey, am I allowed at Big 12 shows? Absolutely. Everybody's allowed at the Big 12 show. You want to come over and troll me? You ain't going to bother me. You can come over and tell me how bad West Virginia is or how bad the Big 12 is, how the SEC and Big 10 are so much better. That's okay with me. I don't care. We'll just throw the ACC under the bus and we'll all be happy. So,
You can do
all
that.
right.
We don't have the Pac-12 to throw under the bus anymore.
No, we couldn't throw them under the bus this year anyway. Wow, they were a really good conference this year. So, all right. Okay.
All
Well,
right, Joey.
thanks, Mark. See you later, buddy.
Thank you. Joey does a phenomenal job here at the Voice of College Football. He's got 2 West Virginia shows, a Big 12 show. They're all over on the Big 12 channel. Hopefully he's going to get that link, or somebody's going to get that link. Otherwise, I will do it. We'll get the link in the chat because you guys need to get on over there, and they have a good time talking Big 12. That bothers me. All right. I believe we've covered enough in the transfer portal. We went all the way back about 3 days on that. I was curious to see the AP rankings preseason versus postseason. The AP writers only got 12 of 25 last year. So their preseason top 25, 12 teams made it all the way to the postseason top 25. They should have done better this year. I believe they did, just because how can you do worse than that? And also because I don't know that I did not do a top 25. I did a way too early top 25, and I'll do another one here in the next week or two for 2024. I did one for 2023. I'll have to look that up. We'll see how I did. But again, that was my way too early top 25. That was not my like right before the season top 25. And then we'll have to go through my record predictions, because I was pretty happy with 2022, because in 2022, out of the 65-ish Power 5 teams, I either nailed the record dead on, or I was within one game, either 0 miss or one game off on like 42 of the 65 teams. So we'll look that up. Well, let's check out the preseason top 25 and let's see what went wrong. And again, I think they did pretty well here. So there's the preseason top 25. If I could scoot this over. It's in the far left corner there. So that came out about 2 weeks before the season started. Georgia was a heavy favorite at number 1, and they finished in the top 5. Michigan 2, and I saw this stat as well, that the number 2 position in the last 25 years is the best bet to finish number 1. The preseason number 2 has finished number 1 9 times. And the preseason number 1 has only finished number 1 4 times. Ohio State was number 3. They finished in the top 10. Bama at number 4. They made the playoff. LSU at 5. Finished around 12 or 13, somewhere in that range. USC at 6. Okay, bingo. There's our first team that did not finish in the final AP top 25. USC, Tim, your team, officially the biggest disappointment of 2023. USC, number 6 preseason. Penn State at 7. I know they lost the bowl game and finished 13, but that's pretty much what they were all season. Number 7. Okay. Florida State at 8, finished a little bit higher than that. Clemson at 9. Okay. They finished quite a bit lower, but still made the final top 25, winning their final 5 games. Washington at 10, finished number 2. Texas at 11, of course, finished in the top 4. Tennessee at 12 finished somewhere around 17, 18. We will see that in a second. Notre Dame at 13 finished right around there, a spot or two lower. Utah went 8-5. So this is coming off another Rose Bowl appearance that they were supposed to finish in the top 15 and number 2 in the Pac-12. And Utah lost its 5th game against Northwestern. Otherwise, they probably would have finished in the top 5, or the top 25, but I don't believe they did. So we've got USC, and that's pretty good. That's pretty good that Utah is just the second team, I believe, that did not finish in the top 25. Oregon, of course, did. Kansas State did. TCU finished 5-7. So they're out. That's 3. Oregon State finished 8-5. So Oregon State looked like a top 25 team all year, but they did not finish in the top 25. So that's 4 out. Wisconsin finished 7-6, out of the top 25. That's 5. Oklahoma 10-3. North Carolina, they did not finish in the top 25. Much like Oregon State, they looked like a top 25 team for much of the season, but finished badly at 8-5. So that's 6. Ole Miss, much better than 22. Texas A&M at 7-6 did not finish ranked. So that's 7. Tulane did not finish ranked. I don't believe, we'll have to double check, after they lost the bowl game by 3 touchdowns to Virginia Tech, I don't believe Tulane finished ranked. So that's 8 teams out of 25. Iowa did, I believe. Let's look at the final top 25. That's the column all the way to the right. Michigan, Washington, Texas, Georgia, Bama, Oregon, Florida State, Missouri. So Missouri's the highest ranked in the final poll that started unranked. Missouri gets that dubious distinction. Very nice for them that they finished number 8 in the country preseason unranked. Arizona at number 11, unranked preseason. So good for them. LSU, Penn State, Notre Dame all finished roughly where they started. Oklahoma as well. Oklahoma State, okay, they would be the next one. Did not start in the preseason top 25. So that's 3. And we should have the same number, obviously, as we had for the teams that didn't finish. So that's Oklahoma State at number 3. Tennessee, Kansas State, Louisville would be the next team that did not start in the top 25. That's 4. NC State's next, 5. SMU, 6. Kansas, 7. And Liberty, 8. So there's your list of teams that finished in the AP top 25 versus the initial top 25. Uh-oh, we've got David Greenshield saying something about something. Let's check out the fighting words here. Mike Fort, Stallion and Partridge would still have jobs if they did nothing wrong. True. Why is that controversial? Oh boy. Will says that a story just came out from Pat Forty that Florida State has NIL violations. Well, I've got nothing against Florida State, of course. I'm just happy that maybe somebody's looking for NIL violations. Something really, I didn't think the way we were going that we would ever see that statement made about anybody. NIL violations. Now, knowing the NCAA, these are going to be the stupidest violations known to man. Everything else that's going on is going to be completely ignored and going to be completely oblivious to, but they'll pick up on the stupidest nonsense known to man. We'll have to check on that. So we will check on that. And also, as someone pointed out to us last night, and I admit, because it was pretty obvious from my response, I did not remember who Charlie Baker was. But once it was pointed out to me, oh, yeah, Charlie Baker, NCAA president, and the comment that he made about Michigan, that's a really strong statement, folks. The statement that Charlie Baker made about there not being anything, I don't remember, about their championship being legitimate. Something to that effect, I think, speaks volumes. Otherwise, he's a moron. Why would he make that statement and put himself out there to say, oh, this is legitimate, and then it comes back months later that it was not? So I don't think that that statement would have been made otherwise. We've got a Big 12 channel and we've got a Big 12 show starting up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So everyone check that out again with Joey Foster and the crew on the Big 12 channel, the Big 12 Fan Zone. And we get together for the Big 10 live show every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern time right here. And so be here for that. All right. I think I'm going to get myself something to eat, check out what else is going on, and possibly post a video at some point because some of this stuff needs to be talked about. All right. I am probably going to do one more conference rankings video, and we'll see how that does, and we'll take it from there. All right, folks, appreciate y'all being here. The Voice of College Football. Again, it's 8 o'clock Big 12 Fan Zone. You can check out what Jordan Bowman and Tiger Paw Craven are talking about right now on the All In Clemson Tigers live show at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So that's going on right now on the Clemson channel. And again, the Big 12 Fan Zone. Let's get that link to all of you for the Big 12 show. And we've got quite a USC show that we deliver every Monday night as well, since I believe Tim's still in the chat. Tim, Matt Zemek, and myself get together to talk USC football every Monday night at 8 o'clock Pacific time. And Matt Zemek and I are recording on Friday to talk about Belichick and Saban and Carroll, mostly Pete Carroll related, it being USC. And Matt and I like to get into some historical discussion and debate. So that should be fun. In the meantime, I'm going to point all of you to the Big 12 show that is starting in about a half hour. All right, it's in the chat. For some reason, the link didn't copy. I don't get that. I don't know what's happened to my YouTube because the last few times I've put a link in the chat, it didn't take the link, but you can still copy and paste, throw it in there, go to our Big 12 channel. It should be over there anyway. All right, folks, appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. We've got a packed lineup on a Friday, as always. We'll be producing videos. And we will be on the watch for the Alabama coaching announcement. Kalen DeBoer, Mike Norvell. Anybody else? I think Lane Kiffin's out of it. Don't see that happening. Dan Lanning, of course, said that he is committed to staying at Oregon. I got to respect that decision. Yes, got to respect that. He obviously played it up big. He should take advantage of it, show his players, hey, I'm committed here. You've all heard of Bama. Well, I'm staying here. there is a possibility that he also knew that he wasn't going to get the job and he could play it up big because his name's out there big in connection with the Bama job. That would be the pessimistic view. That would be the bit of a tainted, jaded view of that. And we don't want to do that. So we will take Dan Lanning at his word that he is just all in on Oregon Ducks football. All right. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Check out that Clemson show going on right now, and then on over to the Big 12 channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. See you on Friday.